Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Confidently Wrong.
Hey.
Hello,
Wrong.
Can you can you guys do your alien vocalization for us?
Not even a little bit.
I know. I was like, how are they gonna do that? And
I
then
would ban myself.
and then they just dubbed it over her mouth movements. I was like, okay, that was fair.
Wait,
So
what vocalization? I didn't see that part.
Oh, you haven't seen that part yet? Oh, well, you'll get there. She gets to like vocalize the like alien sounds.
Oh,
It was tricky. All right. So we're here. Savon had a busy week. Wesley's had a busy week with school getting started. We're just finishing week 3 of school. Brian though
That's
is
too much school already.
more interesting.
That's bananas.
Brian has had a more interesting weekend. He is currently I don't know what you would say, like living the high life, living the city escape, you know.
I'm living my life. That's what it is.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, you know.
My
House
life
of
is
the
dope.
Hamptons.
I do dope shit.
So wait, are you apple picking this weekend? I don't. Where you're outside of New York? You said.
I'm in Hudson Valley, New York, which is a couple hours north of New York City, and it's a lovely river valley surrounded by mountains, because that's what makes a valley a valley. And
thank you for that geography lesson.
We're out here at a B&B, not an Airbnb, but a B&B.
Does it have like that old,
which means bed and breakfast, not
what that
butt
old
and booty.
furniture that's like made of reeds, you know, or
made of reeds?
You know, like the back is like woven together.
Everything here is woven. The house is woven.
Like a wood thatch chair.
Yeah, something.
I hope the big bad wolf doesn't come our way.
You know,
there's a brick lane for that.
Something you'd find in a 1950s country home. I don't know.
1950s.
Reed? That's like Reed is like an Egyptian pharaoh.
Yeah, we signed the guest book.
Wicker?
On papyrus.
Wicker. Maybe I'm thinking of Wicker, you know?
You are thinking of Wicker.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that how everything is? What is the vibe? Or is it like more modern and like contemporary kind of B&B?
No, it's definitely one of those places where there's a lot of molding on things. Like even the dresser, the mirror on top of the dresser has molding and like hand painted flowers. It's probably all fake though. I bet it's made in China. they bought this stuff from Wayfair.
I think we just in our pre-show talked about how just because something from China does not mean it's fake. In fact, we talked about the real nature of Brian. The man has brainwashed it. You've been brainwashing it.
I gotta free my mind.
Free your mind, brother, and then you can free your soul. That's Savon talking. That's Savon X.
All right, Savon X. All right, well, let's get into it. We're only going to do one episode. We're only recording one episode today. Oftentimes we record 2 in a day, but time is short, and you know, time is money. So let's get into it.
We busy, man. We love y'all, but we busy. We in these streets out here working, raising our childrens.
I don't think we've this summer been able to do
children?
Like
talking about West.
one episode a week at all yet. So this will not break that streak. We'll have a week and then we'll have a week off where we don't have a show put out. But we'll continue to go back to weekly shows at some point, maybe in the near future. This week's episode though is interesting because I don't think it's normally up my my bag or my normal genre of TV that I watch. So we're going to talk about Aliens Earth, which is a new television series on Hulu. There's 4 episodes so far in season 1. It looks like they're slated for 8. And I don't know if they're going to do a continuation on it, but we're halfway through this season already. You guys said that you watched the first 3 episodes. I crammed in that last episode this morning, and so we'll talk about those first 3 episodes, or we'll try to. Yeah, I know. I mean, it all runs together. It's all one big story, so it's hard to pick and choose what parts. All right, so how do we feel about this Alien series? Like the movies, the franchise? It's been going on since James Cameron created the Alien series way back in the day. I don't even know.
James Cameron, he did not create it.
Oh, did he do the second Aliens?
He did the second Aliens.
Who did the first one?
Plural Aliens.
Was it Ridley Scott?
The first one was Ridley Scott.
Okay.
Yeah,
love that guy.
Yeah, I was like, hey, how you just?
My fault.
You can't assign it to James Cameron.
I read it somewhere. I thought it said that James Cameron made it. So
James Cameron's Aliens also is known for. I've never actually seen the second movie in the franchise, but his Aliens movie apparently takes away all the nuance and all the interesting stuff and just pure action movie. They just put 2 machine guns in Sigourney Weaver's hands and let her at it. Apparently,
said,
that's
"Go
what
to it."
Aliens is about.
Okay. Wait, so
and is
Alien
not representative of the rest of the series.
So it's Alien singular and
Yep.
then Aliens plural, and that's how they made the sequel.
Genius.
They didn't call it Aliens 2. They just said there's more of them now.
Well,
when we do our second podcast, it's confidently wrongs.
Not confidently's wrong. Like inspectors general. All right. So anyways, obviously I am not very well versed in the Alien franchise. So I think I just answered the question for me, because I don't know that I've actually seen a full Aliens movie besides maybe one of the Alien vs. Predator movies. I think Sanaa Lathan was in one, and I think I saw maybe that one. It was like an ice moon or something that they went into the mines, and then there were aliens or predators in there or something. Clearly, I don't even remember that movie that well. So, where are you guys? Have you guys seen Aliens before? Have you seen any of this franchise? What do you feel about it? Brian, what's your familiarity?
I am vaguely familiar, probably only a few notches ahead of where you're at.
Okay.
Wes. I have seen the first Alien, which is incredible. I highly recommend that to any sci-fi nerd out there. Probably some of the best thriller cat and mouse on-screen chase stuff ever. It's just so tense. That entire movie is
like Jurassic
so
Park
tense.
kind of tense?
Times 10.
Times 10.
Times 10 because it's claustrophobic too. Yeah, it's rated R and it's aliens.
It's a hard R.
I mean, like the first Alien
you got way too excited about that.
Delivers all the goodness. Not that kind of hard art. Alien, the first Alien delivers all the, the classic things, right? Like the face hugger, the chest popper Alien, and then the one that's dripping saliva from like hiding out in the roof of the spaceship and stuff, right? And like
the Xenomorph,
all the flashing lights.
Those are all the same, though, right? All the same species.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah. That's what it seems like.
The lines get really blurred as you
like
watch
they're
all the
larval
other movies.
stages of the big one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're the different stages of the Xenomorph.
Like,
right.
yes, but the lines get kind of blurred too.
Do they?
Like,
in some of the other ones?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
In like a cool way, though.
All right.
And then aside from the first Alien movie, I've seen bits and pieces of Alien vs. Predator. I've seen bits and pieces of Prometheus. I think there was another Alien out there. There's Alien Romulus, which I haven't seen. Heard it's really good.
That one's more recent, right?
Yeah, it
but
came out last year.
I don't fully know all the lore that surrounds Alien.
And they have comics too with them in it now, or they've been had them. All right, Savon, it sounds like you're a little more familiar than both of us. I would say my level is a 1. It sounds like Brian's level is like a 3, maybe out of 10. Where are you on the awareness familiarity scale?
I would like to think that I'm pretty familiar with the series. Like, I haven't seen all the movies, but I'm pulling them up. I've seen Alien. I've seen Aliens. I've seen Alien 3. I didn't see Alien Resurrection. I've seen all the Alien vs. Predators. I've seen Prometheus. I've seen Alien Covenant. I haven't seen Romulus. And I've seen all the Predator movies. So, like, I haven't seen every single Alien movie, but I've seen, like, more than, I've seen the majority of them. And with, like, everything Brian said, the horror is top-notch. Nothing will ever top the OG Alien in terms of just the raw horror, the chest burster scene being unscripted and them not knowing that was going to happen, so the reactions are real. Just
I did not know that.
What?
I'm pretty sure the first
they punked their own cast.
That's crazy. Well, you can only get away with that once. Like after that, they're going to know it's coming on the second take.
Yeah. The scene, it was a genuine thing. Like, cause I think one actor actually fainted. Like, if you relook the chest burster scene, that is their real reaction. They didn't know that was gonna happen. But all that to say, I've seen majority of the movies. There, as a person who doesn't like horror, the sci-fi is what kind of helps balance out the horror for me, so that I can try and watch through them. But Those are some
Agreed.
scary. Those are some horrifying ass movies, man. And they're like good when they're doing the themes right. The only thing I'll add, Wes, is that because of like especially the prequels with Prometheus and Romulus and all of that, that's where you learn a little bit. The prequels, so you learn a little bit more about the origins of the aliens, and it's this weird blend of like it's a mix of they were artificially engineered, but then there's no one true species because their whole thing is reproducing through other creatures. So like the line of like, is it one species? Is it multiples? Is it different stages? The lines get blurred because there's so many variations of them that, and Brian, you might even remember from Prometheus, you start to see like, oh, that's a newer creature I haven't seen, but it's a variant of the Xenomorph thing. It's very weird when you watch the other ones, but I think the show is maybe going the route of different species because they even said five different species on board. So I'm guessing we get the Xenomorph and we get some other nightmares unrelated to them too. Which
Eyeball.
Yeah, the
which is
eyeball one is quite a nightmare.
Because those are like those aren't Xenomorphs. That's its own separate thing. And I'm like, oh, cool. We get new nightmarish horrors to be in our dream. But all just a long-winded way of saying I'm pretty familiar with the collective Alien series. Like a lot of the corporations and stuff they were expositing about. It's like, oh, okay, I remember that name. I remember this. There's a few name to face moments that are pretty cool.
Okay. All right. So sounds like you're like a 6 or 7, 8 maybe on the.
Per usual, Savon knows more than us.
He's well read, that man. All right. So that's our familiarity.
Lots of stuff y'all know. I don't know shit. Y'all know lots of stuff.
So we're coming from a place of just like, hey, we're just getting into it. Me and Brian, Savon maybe brings a little bit more context to the series. So whatever your viewing familiarity is with the Alien series, you can find a representative among us, I think. All right,
you don't need to know the series to watch this show.
That too. I mean,
it's meant to be a prequel series, right?
Yeah, it takes place. I think I had to clarify because I wasn't sure. This takes place like a few years before the original Alien.
Oh,
correct.
So this is like before basically most of the stuff that you've seen in the series outside of like Prometheus, Romulus, and all that stuff has not happened yet.
So this is a great jumping on point for any noob to Alien.
Yeah, like I was telling somebody, oh, I've never really been into Alien. I'm like, from this show, you really don't have to. Like, I mean, we both saw the beginning of it, right? We all saw the start where they made it the way they even did the exposition was like, you can be anybody jumping on board and we're going to give you the context. And they dump you in of where the world is pretty seamlessly.
All right. I didn't realize it was a prequel. I sort of thought this would maybe be after that, where like the original crew or something, or maybe a different crew had found these aliens and this was like their encounter with it, maybe in a later story or something. So interesting. All right. So we're like 4 episodes in. What impressions have these early episodes left on you? I will say for me, I feel like this is a pretty ambitious story so far in that there's kind of a lot going on. There's some artsy fartsy things that I'm not sure are gonna pay off. So there's a lot of like real fast, like jump cut, like flash bulb, like just scenes, like vignettes that you're seeing. And some of them are recaps of things you have seen. Some of them are things we haven't seen yet in the series. There's certainly some like fades and dissolves that are happening that are like meant for you to understand connections between people, even though like it's not super clear who's connected to who all the time, or like what that connection is yet. So I feel like this is a pretty ambitious like way of shooting a television show. It's a pretty ambitious story in that there's a lot of things happening, right? There's these ideas around technology, there's these ideas around corporations and capitalism, there's these ideas around just like basic, mob I don't know, like the like Al Capone kind of mob sort of, ideas that are happening here. And then that's not even talking about like the actual alien invasion part. I thought this would be more actiony, more just like the aliens are attacking and everybody's trying to survive. But this is not that at all. I mean, it is that a little bit at times, but it's a lot more like what makes us human and who's a human and who counts as a human and how do you define humanism and a person and a soul, and like there's all these other things going on at the same time. So yeah, I don't know, what is your sort of impression about it? Because it feels unwieldy so far to me.
So funny,
Wes,
that's what the series has always done though, right, Brian? Am I tripping?
No, not at all. And also, Wes was the person who texted our group and was like, watching the first episode kind of slow, and then I watched the first episode. And I
That
was
shit
like,
was not slow
"What
at
are
all."
you talking
Yeah,
about?
I
Slow.
was like,
They
yeah,
got
homeboy
attacked
tripping.
by
Slow.
aliens! Oh my god!
Yeah,
There's so much action in this."
homeboy was tripping. Like Wes, to answer your question, first impressions, I like it because I didn't really go in with any real expectations, but these things you're talking about are staples of the Alien franchise. Alien has
Okay,
never
cool.
been an action series franchise.
I
Like,
thought it was because
never.
It's
like
suspenseful.
Predators kind of action.
Predator
So I
and
was like,
Alien
oh,
are meant to be like, Alien is the horror side of that coin. Predator is the more action side because they're actually intelligent hunters with culture and species. The Alien is just a mindless monster that is impossible to take down, so it leans into the horror side because there's no reasoning with it. There's no rules of engagement. There's no, oh, if you fight it fair, you can do the honor battle. This thing is just a ruthless killing machine. But no, the series has never really been action based. There's moments where they're fighting the alien, but most of the time it's the alien stalking and effing people up and people trying to basically what you saw. So I think some of that, like, just to kind of level set you a little bit, like the tone of Alien has always been a lot of social commentary about like the body, life, the sense, and cyborgs themes have always been, and even the first movie, like even in the first Alien, there's artificial humans who are sense, and they're a key part of the plot because there's literal deep space travel where people have to go into cryo, like we saw in the cryo, like we saw in the first episode, right? Like that was a thing that was even in the original movie. So just to give context, like the sense, the what is a soul, a human, who's not, the all that things you're describing, the lack of action
When is
horror,
machine not a
that's
machine?
that's pretty much been a thing in almost every major Alien. Like that's a thing in Alien, that's a thing in less so Aliens, which is more action. But like Prometheus and the ones after are very more. There's a big elements of psychological life, big picture life questions. But like you should ground yourself that because that's like a staple of the series. I don't want you to go in expecting something that
Gotcha.
Alien was never really in the first place.
Well, I feel like
But
I think what I was saying is like they're also ambitious in that in a 2-hour movie, you're gonna get some feeling about how the filmmaker feels about those questions, right? Or at least how some of the characters are feeling about those questions. And maybe you don't have full answers, but you certainly will start to like have certain perspectives laid out. I feel like in this one, in the first 2 hours especially, you're really getting no answers, all questions. In the third one and fourth one,
Have you
maybe
watched a TV show before?
yeah,
I'm
but I'm
confused.
saying
I
like
don't know what you're actually saying.
Yeah,
right
what are
now.
you?
it's not a
What are you setting up here?
No, it's not a criticism. It's just saying like I think that's why I sort of feel like it's ambitious in that they are really taking their time to just sort of like throw 1,000 questions out there and they're not providing any answers yet. And like hopefully by the end, right, by eight episodes, we get some inkling of where different factions are falling, where different perspectives are coming from. Because right now it feels like, and I guess I was gonna talk about this later, but there isn't really a why yet for anything, like for anybody's actions, for anybody's like motivations. And it's more just like we're just reacting to like these moments, for the time being. But I think that stuff will come later. It feels like hopefully they'll tie more of it back together. We'll see like where these people are coming from.
Hard disagree, but
Yeah, I don't know what
anyway.
you're talking about, big dog. It's okay, Brian. What are your impressions?
All right. Are we watching the same thing, Wes? I want to point out. I think we should point out the name Noah Hawley, who is the showrunner and creator of Alien Earth. This is the same guy that created the series Fargo, which was basically taking the entire Coen Brothers aesthetic and creating a whole world out of that aesthetic every single season of that show. And there's also the guy, maybe a more important touch point for him is the show Legion, which wasn't as popular as Fargo. But Legion, I'm not sure if you guys ever saw it.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's an X-Men spinoff, actually.
Oh, about the
It's
Xavier
the
son
character
boy?
Legion, right? The one of the more powerful mutants who can bend reality, basically. And that show is 3 seasons of him tripping out and not being sure if what's happening around him is real or not. And so that show does a lot of, or has a lot of, visual experimentation, just like really trippy visuals happening throughout. And you see a lot of that influence happen here in Alien Earth is kind of some of the things that you're alluding to, Wes. I think visually, Alien Earth is really cinematic, right?
It
This is
is.
beyond just, run of the mill television. I think what Noah Hawley does so well is understand the essence of the property of the IP that he's adapting, and just going to town with it, right? Like he did that masterfully in Fargo. It just like really captured the Coen Brothers style. And here in Alien Earth, at least in the first 4 episodes, we're just seeing like every sort of amazing thing that we've ever seen in Alien is being utilized in these first 4 episodes. And that might be visually, that might be tonally, like with the tension, with the way the aliens and the other organisms on the spaceship, right? The way that they function, like he's delivering on the gore, on the suspense, and then on the philosophical questions,
Hey
on the
man.
corporate greed,
Yes.
and just like building out the whole world that exists around the Alien series, right? Which, when you boil it down to, is basically a suspense horror thing with extraterrestrial creatures, right? But I think what elevates the franchise, and what you have to build the TV series on, right? It can't just be somebody hiding from a xenomorph the entire time, right? Is the fact that he's built out all these other layers of the universe that they exist in by having, the Prodigy Corporation, Weyland Yutani, having cyborgs and synthetics, and now human minds transferred into synthetics, right? Like these are all such interesting things to happen on top of the xenomorphs who are, trying to hunt people. So I think it's, it's been a really interesting ride so far because of all of that.
Agreed. One thing I want to quickly just tack on to that is Brian, agree with what you said. Although what I will say is, I think historically in the Alien franchise, I feel like of the Alien movies and things I've seen, the series is at its best when the Xenomorph is probably the least interesting part about the show. And not in a way to denigrate the monster and what its role in the story is, but the same reason, like, maybe not the character decision making, but like a lot of the coolest parts of the Alien movies outside of the Alien are the philosophical parts, the relationships of humans with each other and technology and greed and money and what situations people, even workers' rights, of the situations folks get put into. And to your point, Brian, the makers of this show, the showrunners, clearly are in love and know the source material very well. And it's not often you see a show with such a series with such deep lore like the Alien franchise. Not even necessarily good lore, but deep lore, because it's been around for so many decades, and being able to pull the best parts of all that and pull the horror, the horror version of basically an Avatar movie where it's a fake nature doc, but instead it's like these horror monsters, the corporate greed, and all. Like, I was very impressed at how well they were hitting all of that on the head, of me feeling simultaneously stressed out and dreadful and suspense in these scenes with all the steam and the ships and shit, and then also recoil and disgust at just how greedy these rich people are, seeing like, oh, this is awful. But yeah, I could totally see I could totally see how people could do this kind of crap. But, and I also, Brian, you could probably speak to this a little better than me, because I don't have good terminology for understanding good filming and frame shots. But a lot of the shots and stuff in the episodes were just really good. Like, I don't know how to always give it words, because I don't. It's like seeing a good NBA offense, but you don't know the terms for it, Wes. But you're like, I don't know how to describe this with words, but I know it's good.
Every frame's a painting, man.
Yeah, like there
were
were even scenes where, like, there was a scene, even a scene where two of the synth children are talking, they're getting debriefed, and then you can see the leader synth dude is kind of like watching from a mirror, but the way the shot moves is where you don't see him and you see him. Just so many moments. You know what I'm talking
chef's
about?
kiss.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Yes.
So many moments where I'm like, oh man, I'm not a filmmaker, but like they are in their bag right now with these shots. Like, this was very intentionally. There's a lot of just care in this show. Like, this show very much is regardless of whether you like it or not, they didn't half-ass this. They clearly put some heart and soul into it, which is already elevated.
They the production and sets are really good too, and I think that helps what you're talking about as well. Like I'm thinking of in the very first episode when the cyborg Mr. Morrow is in his little cubicle that he uses to pilot the ship or run the ship or do whatever. You know, they've just got 1,000 lights around him that you assume maybe are buttons that control the ship. But it doesn't really matter what the buttons are. It just makes like a cool look.
It's
And
just
he's
cool.
you
Vibe,
know,
it's that rule of
Yeah, it's just
cool.
vibe. Yes.
you know, and they frame it
So
so
much
that his head is
style.
actually in the center, which I feel like is pretty unusual, right? Like usually if it's just a one person shot, their head's going to be more towards the top of the frame, but they frame it so that you can see all these lights around him. And it was like clear they just did it because it looked cool. And they're like,
Yes.
Oh,
we want to show off what this
absolutely.
looks like, you know?
The show is constantly doing that. There's another scene where, again, with Morrow, when he's downloading the ship's data and he puts the two like cables on his temples, but the cables are lighting up like
It was awesome.
crazy. And it's just like a single
And he's
shot of
getting
him.
sweatier and sweatier, and
He's
the
so
lighting,
sweaty.
the light is like super hard light.
Amazing.
Well, the way they
amazing.
use sweat in these scenes is I've never seen sweat used so masterfully to tell a story in a hot minute. I'm like, I feel you, big dog. I
Yo.
feel you. I've never sweated so in sync with another character in.
Why
Oh
is the
my
cyborg
god!
sweating so much? He needs another enhancement for his sweat glands.
But I thought that was a cool detail of them showing the cyborg. You know, if you're not like a hyper nerd, the cyborg synthetic difference is huge, and they did a great job of driving that point home because not everybody's a nerd like us who knows the difference between a cyborg and an android. Like maybe for us it's like it's night and day, but for plenty of folks it's like, so who's the robot guy? And it's like the dude who's sweating and clearly freaking out. I promise you, he's a lot of shit. He's not a robot. That is a dude feeling the realest of fear, the realest of fear out there.
But he's also the most robotic character in some ways, right?
I don't think.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
Some,
I don't agree.
Like he
sometimes-
emotes a lot less than everybody
Yes.
else.
Yeah.
but
And I will say when he basically sacrificed his crew, right, still on the spaceship, that's sort of the moment when he did, to me, seem very robotic in the sense that he was like letting his crewmates die and not showing a ton of emotion. But I think as the story progresses, we're starting to learn more and more about Morrow, and maybe it's less robotic and more of a soldier, right?
Yeah, I think it's a coping
It's the
mechanism
actual
at this point.
attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's cope as much as anything else. Like you see him trying. It's almost like he's trying to be robotic, and it's fake because you could tell. Like you're trying to be robotic doing this cool thing, but you're sweating bullets at the same time, which is a cool juxtaposition compared to the actual synthetics we see, and seeing the weird like the ways he's more human than them and also less human at the same time.
Oh, interesting. I thought
He's the best
sweat-
character, right?
He's the most interesting so far.
He's the most interesting character in the show. Yeah.
He but I thought I took it as the sweating was not so much like fear or worry, but or like whatever, or his I thought it was more just like he was generating a lot of heat because he was downloading so much data at one time.
That's how I read it. Yeah. It was like overload.
Yeah,
maybe the download part, but I'm talking the download probably was probably just a stressful experience. I'm talking more so when he was trying to lock himself into the blast ship while the aliens breaking in and he's like letting the crew die. I don't think that was like I think that was just a stress response sweat of like, yo, the chips are down. He's trying to get the F out of here. And also he got those orders of like, yo, the crew's expendable, which I think is actually a good jumping point maybe Wes to the next question because I had a lot of thoughts on that.
All right, so the next question is just about the fact that you guys have kind of alluded to this, that the Alien series, and Savon kind of let us know ahead of time a little bit too, that the Alien series tends to not just focus on, the xenomorphs and not just on like blast them, hide, blast them, all of this stuff. But it also focuses on all of these other bigger ideas and social commentary, like we talked about with, corporate greed, or with, philosophical ideas around like who, what makes a human, what makes us human, and that kind of thing. So how has that landed so far in this show for you? Savon, you can lead us off. Mookie Betts here.
I think they did a good job coming out the gates hot. The exposition, like they didn't take any time really to show immediately, hey, this is a world that is gripped by what late stage capitalism can look like, right? Like they make it very clear. 4 corps run the world. all the main technology basically involves creating artificial humans, and like, you know, it's like an arms race of that going on. You know, we have trillionaires in this world who are just doing the next level of ego-driven, trying to be God project and R&D. Even when you have the people, you know, that's what we see in the big level. But then even on the micro level, we see our friend, the brother, unable to, you know, he's in a shitty contract and can't even talk to a human being because it's the AI that does all the customer service. You even have Morrow in the ship. They tell him, hey, the crew is expendable. All that matters is the bounty, showing, you know, hey, for all this dangerous cargo and all this shit going on, the crew is expendable. You even learn once Morrow gets back to work that, like, hey, because of the nature of the light year travel, you're gone from Earth for such a long period of time that you're basically giving up your entire life. And when he even mentions that, they, you know, the best they can hit him with is, oh, you should have read your contract. But like, we're getting a look into how this world treats workers, right? Where you're so expendable that your corp will say, oh, all y'all can die for this cargo. All that matters is the shit. Also, the dude who the chief security officer is also clearly considered expendable. They don't care that he doesn't have anything. And even the shocking moment of effing calling your boss after a job and learning that it's their granddaughter generations later, one, again, drives home. This is not a... This is basically kingdoms at this point, right? When corporations are handed down on a hereditary level from generation to generation, and they're having these same goals. So, like, they did a great job of nailing home just how much greed and money powers this world, and we're getting more and more of that. Even the whole idea of, oh, okay, you know, even we might have thought in the beginning when they transferred and created the new synthetics with the terminally ill children, maybe there's a small part of you that thinks, oh, maybe there's something mildly altruistic going on. Maybe. And it does not take long for you to be like, ah, shit, they're just another project. And again, it really drives home what this world is. So
when
Wes,
can you go home? Never.
Yeah. So that's
Like,
where Wes,
okay.
you know, so that's where for me it was like, oh, that's why I guess you say it felt like it's hinted at. For me, it's not. They put it pretty brazenly. Pretty much everything that's driving this story is ultimately driven by greed. And so when you think about the alien, all the awful shit happening, pretty much every shitty thing that happens in this story, you can take a step back and say, oh, this is literally the result of corporate greed. Even one of the synths has a line where he's like actively saying, I'm trying to stop an alien invasion. And I was like, thank you for someone who's just putting it as plainly as effing possible of the stakes of what's going on. And then the boss is just like, what? No. This is I guess the wildest part of me is that the alien shit for the people involved in it had nothing to do with what their priorities were at that point in the story. Like, they were doing this whole synthetic outfit human thing, and then the alien thing just lands out of nowhere and just completely derails, frankly, the plot of what's happening at Prodigy. Like, their whole plot is getting derailed because the other people are like, hey, yo, but you're getting distracted by this shit. Like, we about to launch the next big thing, and now you worry about this. But it drives home just how much greed runs this world, and when everything hits the fan, or the way things have already hit the fan, you can look back and say, oh, so it was because MFs was being greedy. Ugh. Yep. Well,
Yeah.
the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
love that part.
I guess I
when-
wanted it to be more complex than that.
I mean, I think it is complex. I think the greed isn't the complexity; it's the scenarios that result from that greed. It's not like, I don't think the trillionaires being greedy and cutthroat, do whatever for what they want, is going to be the interesting part. It's what are the ramifications of these children that you stuck into these supercomputer adult bodies, and us watching how all of them react to it and respond to it and develop differently. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to be the interesting part.
Right.
Don't think about the greed. Think about what are the scenarios this greed has created, these moral quandaries, and then what sense do you make of that?
Yeah.
What are the ethics of everything that they're doing? Which, just to say, there are no ethics, it's unethical. But like, what are the responses? Like, you know, what do you? Yeah, but what do you say and do for these children who've been put in this like impossible thing where I'm like, this is awful. I don't even know where to start with this. But I think that's the part that, in my opinion, the viewer is supposed to latch onto, and like, that's been, frankly, what's been most interesting.
I think when I sent you that message after episode 2, that's what I was sort of referring to. It's like, we hadn't got a whole lot past, like, okay, this one guy's in charge and whatever, but like, and then the aliens happen, and it didn't seem to matter, you know, to him. Like, he just wanted the like property of it or whatever. But like, those stories aren't meshing yet, right? It's like the aliens are a separate story from the children right now, and even though they're like there as the cleanup crew, that story hasn't come together yet. And even though they fought them, it still doesn't seem like that has an impact on like who they are. As you get into like episode 3 and 4, I think it becomes a little more clear that there is some like lasting effects that are going to happen. And so that's all. It was just like the first 2 episodes sort of had not built into what you were talking about, which is like, how do we view how do we view these children? What is their role in it? Like, are they active agents? Are they victims? Are they both? I don't know. Brian, you're going to jump
I
in.
think that's where the series seems to be headed, and I think that's the interesting question here is like, what are the implications of corporations and these scions who are idolized and basically playing God? What are the ramifications, ethical ramifications of what they've created and the world that they have created, right?
Will they get their due?
So the boy Cavalier or whatever, right? He has basically decided to put dying children's minds into synthetic beings who don't die and have superhuman abilities and stuff like that. And then they have their caretakers who care for them as people, right? And you have those same people questioning him later about why are we putting them into harm's way? Why are we also talking about it in business terms as well? Like, why are we risking a decade of work and trillions of dollars to pursue this spaceship that just crashed into our home base? Why are we putting all of that at risk? And so like the underlings, and I'm sure like some of you could relate working at a company or something, like why did we pivot all of a sudden? We like spent all this time and invested all this money, and they're real people that we care about, right? These synthetic children that we now care about. Why are we putting them into harm's way? And of course the CEO, like his answer is like, $1 trillion worth of R&D just fell into our lap. Why wouldn't we? Right? Exactly. And so like he's everything to him
because it
is
goes
just
to his competitor if he gives it up, right?
right.
Well,
And
it's for
that's
his
the other
competitor.
thing, right?
It's corporate warfare too. He's
It's
like,
corporate warfare, right?
It's not
They
even
are
deep.
these corporations are also nation states, right? Like Prodigy is New Siam. And they are, they're ready and willing to devastate the competition through any means necessary, including like bullets and bombs and whatever. And so like that sets up Moro's whole quest, right? He's going to infiltrate Prodigy, and that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem between Weyland Yutani and Prodigy ultimately. And so I think there are a lot of interesting things at play here, right? And especially realizing that at the center of this, you have the synthetic kids who are ultimately just like 11-year-olds. At the heart of this, what's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to the girl that got attacked by the eyeball alien, right? And you
She's
see
having
them
like, what's
being.
going on with her? What's her deal? Is she like having like an existential crisis because of that?
I think she is.
But it's
I also
they're
think
all,
maybe the eyeball got in there
but they're
and
synthetic though. So like
is
that's like the
able
whole.
to work with this, with the synthetic stuff. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
I think they're all just having various like, okay, put them all in, and then they're all gonna branch off in different ways. Because we see Wendy's brother fixation. We see one of them is like, oh crap, she actually has potential, and it's like thinking outside the box. The 2 boys are just effing kids still, and they're not really developing.
They're like,
But
yo,
yeah, they're just like dude broing out. Nibs is just looking in the trying to figure out, looking in the man in the mirror or the person in the thing in the mirror. That alone, like already this early on, that we're getting to see the kids like branch in different directions of this mad scientist project is like this weird blend of fascinating but also horrifying. Because I'm like, man, I wish they could have just let y'all get a clean death, and instead y'all get this shit. And I'm sorry.
I can't figure out if I enjoy the Peter Pan motif or if I hate it.
I'm pretty agnostic
I'm
about
a little
it.
mixed about it too.
I'm like, sometimes I hate it. I'm like, this is too much. Like, you're trying to make a square peg fit a round hole, but sometimes
But
I'm
you
like,
know what? That's Boy Cavalier's whole thing, right? Like, isn't his whole thing is that he's heavy-handed and he's gonna do the shit and he doesn't mind being heavy? Because his whole bit is that because he's the one pushing the whole Peter Pan theme. So maybe,
yeah.
I mean, haven't we seen trillionaire billionaires commit to the bit too hard to the point where it's cringe and annoying? Like maybe that's one of the
Elon,
more
we're looking
realistic.
at you.
Maybe that's one of the more realistic parts of the show. What, a
Maybe,
billionaire trying to
yeah.
do an unfunny bit and sticking with it, even though it's lame as hell.
Like cringe.
That might be
Cringe.
more realistic
Nobody
than
asked
the
for the
aliens.
Cybertruck.
Maybe you're right. But like, is the
I think-
story gonna try and mirror that? And if it does or doesn't, I feel like we'll see how that goes.
I hope they don't. I like the initial thing of like, okay, I'm cool with the Peter Pan Lost Boys initial analogy, and it's like, okay, they never grow up, but like at that point, it's like, all right, cool. Each of these kids got some different shit going on. We don't need to make this just Peter Pan in the alien corporal universe.
What bothered me more was that they were watching the Ice Age movie, which is even less of a touchstone. Like Ice Age, is that a classic? Is that that's the
Ice Age
movie
is-
that has survived centuries or whatever, and some kids are still like referencing? Like, come on, Ice
Ice Age is
Age.
kind of fire. The ones after kind of fall off. Ice Age is a fire movie, man. I was a kid when that came out. That was fire, man. I like
It's
that.
good. It's good. Is it a classic? I don't know. Is it going to survive the test of time? That's what kids are quoting.
Maybe
like,
maybe the people are movie buffs over there. Maybe they just say, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is some OG shit. I'm gonna put y'all kids on. Y'all know about that Ice Age."
I
Yeah.
feel like in episode 4 there was a moment where I was like, "Oh, that was a kid line written by an adult," and it didn't feel like a kid. Like I don't know, I can't remember the details of it, but there's a couple times where I'm like, "Ah, this felt like a 40-year-old. Like I wrote this line for what I think a kid would say, even though the kids wouldn't like say that at all." So I have to be careful about that, I think.
They should have Eliza in that writer's room. They're missing out.
Pink.
Have her
Pink.
just start throwing sippy
Why?
cups.
Why?
Yeah,
Mm,
that's
no.
Kaya. Eliza's not at Y. Oh, Eliza is at no.
No.
No. All right, let's keep going. So we got a pretty large cast of characters that are all getting a little bit of time. Nibs actually gets a little more time in episode 4. So you guys will be
Lord.
looking forward to that. But anyways, and not like a ton, but you know, like a little good little 3-minute, 4-minute
She
stretch
makes
here.
me uncomfortable. I'm just like, oh god, what's about to go wrong with this child?
Yeah. Well, watch episode 4.
I
So
will.
we got, you know, all these characters. Are there any that stand out to you? I think we already mentioned Moro, and so maybe we don't need to talk about him. I think for me, he was the one I thought about most when I was thinking about this question. And partly, you know, the boy genius, boy cavalier, whatever his name is, him in the way that like I hate him, you know, and so like, well, you're doing a good job as an actor because I think this is your role. You're supposed to be like kind of despicable, and so you know his scenes are pretty juicy. He's at the center of a lot of the stuff, and you know he's carrying the scenes as a really unlikable like asshole, but who's like kind of thinks of himself as a genius and is like, you know, dismissive of everybody else around him. Yeah, and he kind of is a genius, right?
Like,
And
I'm like, yo, don't like him. That's a smart dude. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, oh, I hate you, but you smart, but boy, you are the worst.
Yeah. And also like, you know, is his hubris gonna be the end of him, you know, and in some way at the end? Like, let's hope so, because he kind of sucks.
Chest burster. It's coming.
He's gonna be like, I thought it wasn't gonna be me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
All right.
Wayland dies like that in one of the Alien movies. Wayland's like a character in one of the Aliens, and at one point, when their whole thing is trying to meet the creators of like the human race, he basically just goes up to him, with all the hubris in the world, tries to talk to it, and then the thing just rips his head off, and then that's it. He just dies. Wayland, the guy who, you know, one of the richest super corporals, and is just like, oh, cool. You thought you could fly close to the sun and talk to God, and God was just dead. So hopefully we get to see that end for Boy Cavalier and frankly the Utanari woman at Wayland too. All these.
Okay. I want to know more about Moro for sure. And I do like the one who plays Wendy, Marcy. I thought she's been doing a great job like as an actor,
Sydney
really
Chandler.
kind of floating this line of like, I'm a kid, but I'm also mature. I've got this fixation, but I'm also like eager. There's kind of this nice, like, I feel like fine line you got to walk there, right? Like you're talking about the two knucklehead boys, like they're clearly on the side of like we're just like kids.
Talking
And-
about lost boys.
Yeah.
They're just lost.
But she's, I think you have to make her a little bit more mature, otherwise it's like not interesting to carry the series like as just like a complete infant. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what, Brian, who sticks out to you?
I'm definitely into their handler,
Kirsch?
the
Kirsch,
head
yes,
the head
yes.
synth Kirsch.
Is that Oliphant?
Yeah,
It is
that is
Oliphant.
Timothy Oliphant in playing a really great kind of like like robotic kind of
Yeah.
role. Even though this guy is known for being a charmer, right? It like if you remember, he showed up in The Mandalorian, I think, for a couple episodes.
Wait, he was Cobb Vanth in The Mandalorian?
Yeah, that's him. That's him. He's
the
a
sheriff?
charmer.
He
People
was the
love
sheriff?
this guy.
He was awesome.
And so him showing up as
That's the same
the
dude?
head synthetic at Prodigy is so interesting because he just looks kind of robotic, and he's got the bug eye thing going on, and the crazy white hair.
His eyebrows are white, I think is what makes it
Yeah,
weird.
and but something about it is so magnetic at the same time, and I love that he's the guy that's talking sense to the boy genius, right? He's pulling back the boy genius from the ledge and saying like, hey, you can't be by this egg, brother. Like,
Yeah, to your point, Wes. Your
like,
whole point. He was like,
duh.
he's gonna do the thing, and then he was just like, "Hey, bro, what the hell are you doing right now?
Yeah, this
Get
is
out.
not good.
Danger
Get
zone,
out,
danger zone.
Get out!" And even the
But
boy
he's got
handler's like, "Ah, shit,
no
yeah, you
emotion,
right,
no
you right, you
fear.
right."
Like that thing hanging down from the ceiling. He was like,
Oh yeah, is this
you-
flora or fauna?
yeah. He's like, well, he said it presents as flora, but it might
But
be
it-
fauna.
Yeah, great
And he was
line,
just
great
like,
That was
"Eh."
so goated.
And he's like, you watch that thing. I'm gonna go over here now. Like, no fear, no like nothing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So like he's gonna be head to head with the Xenomorphs very, very soon. And it also seems like because he's synthetic, right? He also has such a control over the situation, an understanding of the situation that the humans don't. And obviously he's watching very carefully all of the synth kids. Can we call them the synth kids?
Yeah, it's called that. Yeah,
So
he makes all the right decisions.
he's identifying them. So, but we know that at some point, like all of that's going to come to a head where he's going to probably have to make some choices, some hard choices, as the synth in charge between humans, the synth kids, and even the aliens themselves. But he seems to be the most sensible character, but also probably one of the most powerful characters at the same time. So curious to see where he goes.
Yeah, he walks around that whole ship with no gun, right? And doesn't care that there's a xenomorph walking around.
Yeah,
He's just like, okay, guys, next thing. It's just very, very matter of fact about it. Savon, who's the character standing out to you?
Actually, I gotta echo some of the Kirsch stuff. Kirsch is awesome. Like first of all, I'm still blowing my mind that he was Cobb Vanth in Boba Fett. I'm still just like, how? But
Makeup.
no, yeah, but still, the way the body language, how dry he is, the fact that he's still different from the children because he doesn't have that human consciousness, so you can see that layer of dryness and like actual roboticness that he has that's very different than the children, which is a very cool dynamic. And then I'll add to that because just to keep the answer interesting, I'm a big fan of how they've handled just the synth children period. I thought I was gonna have mixed feelings about actors playing like people who are emotionally children, but then there's a lot of nuance to that, right? Because they even said, hey, they had a good line of your bodies don't produce hormones or pheromones, so that affects how you behave. And so I feel like that nuance has to be taken into account with them, right? Like they're not really going to feel emotional, like the things that pheromones cause us and affects our behavior, they're not affected by that, but you're still kids. And I feel like it's a lot of weird dynamics to balance as an actor, which I think all of them pulled off very well. And then adding to that, it's gotten even better because we've gotten to see the children start to develop and branch out differently, where they're still children and you can tell when they open their mouths, but you can see that the kids are branching in different directions. Some are getting more mature or more big picture. Some are kind of regressing. There's different arcs and they all make sense for what they are at their core, but I think that takes really good acting. And I think it juxtaposes off Kirsch really well because he kind of almost validates any slight annoyance you, the viewer, might have about the synths always acting like kids. And there's that moment in the back of your head where you're like, oh my God, get it together. And it's nice but it's not just you as a frustrated viewer knowing they have these appearances and their minds are not in sync and it's different. And you know that, but you still can be frustrated in the moment of like, you have super strength, bro. Hold this thing down. You don't got to worry about this, but then knowing they're still children. But I like that Kirsch mirrors.
The way he's hugging the little pan.
Yeah, and it's like,
he's
it's
like,
just like,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my God, that is 100% what a child would do in this situation. Or even when the cyborg threatened him and I'm like, y'all do know y'all are stronger than him, right? Like, y'all could flick him and effing kill this dude. Like, he is not a threat to y'all, but they don't know that because ultimately they're children. They're not violent by nature, right? But I think that juxtaposes well off Kirsch, who's so cold and robotic, and he kind of reflects that maybe slight annoyance you, the viewer, have, where he's like, get it together, get it right. One thing I will add about Kirsch, though, I think is interesting is that that whole speech he gave to Wendy was almost giving me a synth supremacist type vibe of like synths being more pop, and that's something that has popped up in other Alien movies too. Like I think Michael Fassbender plays a synth called David in some of the Alien
Prometheus
movies, and him being a synth and the advantages that being a synth provides is something that drives the plot forward because he can just do things that humans can't, and he's immune to being affected by the creatures the way humans are. So I think Kirsch being so well plugged into everything, knowing what's going on, being the best decision maker, far none, which is ridiculous because the least human character in the show is making the best decisions for humanity. It's kind of insane to watch actively happen. I don't think that's on purpose. I think that's intentional. But I think, Brian, you're right. He's going to have some hard choices to make. But his whole thing about used to be prey, telling her you used to be prey, all this clearly means that he sees himself as a higher being. And I'm curious to see what his machinations are because let's be real. The ship crashing on Earth was sabotage, right? We can agree on that, right?
I don't know.
Sabotage on
someone's part. I don't know.
Prodigy's part, maybe?
Maybe Prodigy, maybe a competitor. I have no idea. Oh, yeah, I mean, Prodigy is a competitor. But, like, they said in those tube things
well, didn't the Xenomorphs got loose or whatever? So
yeah, I thought it was more of that.
That
Right.
would
yeah, but
damage
if
the
they,
ship.
exactly. But if they got loose, was it sabotage that got them loose? The things still were able to impregnate all the crew. Even when the people said the chest burster broke out while they were still in cryo.
Yo, impregnate is a weird way to say that, but yeah.
That's what they do. That's what they call it, the impregnation. But like, or if you remember when Kirsch is on the ship investigating the bodies, they even point out this person had the thing burst out of its chest. They were still in cryo when that happened. To me, that would imply that someone infected them on purpose at some point, and then shit went ass up while they were still frozen. But I think that's
that
very
crew
different.
was really interesting too, right? Like there were dynamics that were coming across in that crew in the the 5 minutes that they were on screen. Like they did not like the handler, who was in charge of them while they were in cryo, and then you had like there were like two guys off to the side who I think were more mechanics and kind of low on the hierarchy of the ship's crew, who were also kind of angry with the higher ups of the crew, right? So you have these like competing factions of people aboard the ship. I think to your point, there are definitely some leading suspects as to
they had the
what might have caused the breakout.
Yeah, I mean, there was a sense who they say it was watching the women while they slept, and at first it's like, that's weird.
It's creepy.
A synth.
Yeah.
But then you realize maybe the synth wasn't watching them because they were women. He was watching them because they were infected with the creatures, or maybe that was an intentional sabotage because synths aren't people, so they don't have romantic interests and stuff. So, like, if he's creeping, it's probably for a science reason, not a liking women reason. But all that to say, Kirsch pointed out those things, and it's kind of already, for me, unraveling what the larger mystery of this show is. But it's just wild that the non-human character is like the smartest, best decision maker, arguably for humanity. But yeah, he's a dope character.
This is all AI propaganda.
Yeah, but Kirsch and the synths playing off each other is a very interesting dynamic that I'm like horror watch. I'm watching it like a train. Like I know it's gonna be a train wreck, and it's like I gotta watch what happens, even though I know it's gonna make me feel awful when it's all over.
It's gonna be a spaceship wreck.
I'm gonna be emotionally broken.
All right. Let's see here. We got what is your favorite Alien moment been so far? There's a couple in episode 4 that I can't talk about.
Damn.
Yo,
Wes, how does it feel?
I know, I feel great.
Yeah.
I'm in the know.
You're finally in the know. I mean, for me, it's gotta be the eyeball Spider-Man alien.
Is it a Spider-Man?
It swung across the room like Spider-Man. Do you remember that part? It came out of the cat's eye.
That was freaky.
Started crawling, had its own tentacles. Also, the one pupil became like 10 pupils.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then it shot out. It shot out like some sort of like adhesive string, a la Spider-Man, and swung into the synth girl's face. That was the freakiest stuff, and it was so cool. I mean, and I mean, obviously that we know that eyeball monster is coming back, right? Like it's inside of a little glass tube. It's just waiting for one more chance at that eye.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I don't know if this is my favorite moment, but it was cool. Was when the Xenomorph, the adult one or the juvenile one that was out and about and loose, starts sending out his thing to Joe, and we had already seen him do this to another, or he or she do this to another character and just obliterate their face. And then Wendy Marcy comes in and grabs it with some sort of tool and grabs the thing that is ostensibly like a face in a face or a tongue in, face tongue.
Oh yeah, she stabs the smaller
and
thing
she grabbed
in its mouth.
she stabbed it. I don't know. Somehow she like yanked it, and then she's just yanking this Xenomorph around the room by his inner face, inner head thing. I don't know what you call it, but his proboscis, and then ends up dragging him into the elevator, and then they save a bunch of money on the fight because then he just comes out at the end and is sliced with his head shorn off with her knife. And then we learn
she's bleeding tree sap.
We learn that oh yeah, that's true. We learn that she's pretty badass because she can take down a Xenomorph. So that was a pretty cool sequence there. Poor brother though got yoinked in the but he got saved.
The beginning part of that fight, Savon, maybe you can answer this question.
Yeah,
why doesn't the Xenomorph just completely obliterate the brother? Why does the Xenomorph use him as bait, essentially? Right? Like it like sticks him up against the wall rather than killing him immediately, like it had just done to
all those people.
Yeah, to like the high-rise residents.
I think it's probably a mix of plot, but also in certain movies, the creatures have been shown to be smart enough to try to actually like set traps and, try to finesse you and play you. Maybe it recognized that Wendy was an actual threat and like responded accordingly. Like the creatures are like, they're not just dumb creatures, but also they do have a whole thing where they like to try and pick a target to reproduce, right? Like their whole bit is infecting you so that they can reproduce. But I think they've just hinted that like the creatures are monsters, but they can be smart when they need to be. I think it's a mix of like plot. If he just kills them instantly, we just don't have any, we gotta keep the show moving forward. But also I took it as like it recognized that Wendy was a threat and was fixated on him and maybe tried to lure him out of trap. But in the movies, they have been known to capture people, to strap them up and put them into things. Like, they don't just only kill. They absolutely capture to use them to propagate. So,
wait, speaking of capture, Moro sprayed some sort of like foamy stuff on top of the Xenomorph cool. And then bagged it and dragged it around as if it was like 4 pounds. Like, that was kind of crazy. And then, of course, they let him out.
Yeah. Well, I like the detail and it makes a lot of the sweat scenes from earlier make more sense of him telling them. Like, at first there were moments where Moro kept trying to like calm himself, and I was a little curious, is like, what is he doing? And I realized I think he was making a good point when he said they actually do respond to fear. And I think part of what was actually protecting him was him actually calming himself so that the creature would kill, that it would leave him alone. I think there was even a part where it killed all the people when it ripped out the bag. And he's like, oh, man, I can't keep my composure long enough. I'm about to fight this thing. And then someone else gets his attention and saves Moro at the last second. But I like the little detail that the Xenomorphs respond to fear. And like fear seems to impact how they sense you and find you, which that's an absolute thing that happens in nature. Like, that's one of the realest things is like creatures can absolutely smell fear. So
yeah, they go after the easy prey.
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and their whole bit is clearly psychological warfare. You can't tell me these creatures are smart the way they not doing shit that is intentionally meant to scare you. When that thing was in the shipping container and it when that thing moonwalked back into frame, I was like, oh yeah. I was like,
They
oh,
knew
this.
that the camera was there.
It was like, oh, I'm convinced Xenomorphs either have like Deadpool fourth wall sensibilities because they are just doing shit for the love of the game. It's like, all right, I can hunt and kill them, or I could absolutely torture my prey. Which, again, I mean, that
I think
happens in
spiders
nature,
do
right?
that,
Like
right?
orcas be doing that. Orcas be flipping the animals and tossing them around and shit. So I'm like, hey man, I mean, we torture our food, so it's like, hey, it's not playing with your food isn't the wildest thing, but I just took it as
He did
I just
move
took it
right
as
into the-
yeah. But I just took it, Brian, as like it recognized that Wendy was a threat and maybe setting the brother as bait was a good way to lure her out, which it did. He even said it's a trap. Like he said itself, hey, it's a trap. Get the F out of here.
He put on his best Star Wars voice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's a
right. He
trap.
wasn't. Oh yeah, it's a
Admiral
trap.
Akbar. All right.
OG.
Those are
Oh wait,
all.
hell,
cool moments.
my favorite one. My favorite.
All
Wait,
right,
no, it was the
go
fear
for it.
one. No. It was the they can smell fear, and then also the alien slaughtering that whole cosplay party. Like, come on now.
Oh, that was great.
We haven't gotten
That
to
was
see
great.
an alien really go nuts in like a real deal civilian setting with like.
He had like Yoda speed though, like Yoda Attack of the Clone speed.
Yeah,
They deserved it.
I will say I like that show. I like that tail not show of it because sometimes it's just better to look at the awful shit after. You don't need a alien action sequence. I think aliens always benefit from seeing the aftermath more than watching them do it because your mind fills in the blanks of how it actually happened, even if that's not realistic. And
Can we
But-
talk about that cosplay party for a moment? What? Why are they having an Amadeus party where they're all wearing powdered wigs and white makeup? Like, what is going on in there? Was that a sex party? That was probably a sex party, right?
I didn't see any
Probably.
new people. I think they were just, I don't know, posh rich people. Rich people do weird shit, man. Why are you so? Don't overthink
that was
it.
like-
rich people do eclectic weird shit,
Like
bro. They
White
got
Linen
money.
Night in New Orleans, but you know,
Yeah,
for rich
do red-
people.
or red dress.
That was a
Red
Diddy
dress run.
party in 2041.
Oh, we call that a Wayland party.
Yeah, it's a Wayland party.
Or I guess a Prodigy party.
There were no minors though. Yeah, it was a prodigy party for sure. All right. Yeah, let me know what you think after episode 4 because there's some more alien weird stuff happening. There's still, I feel like, a lot more that needs to come in the show. Are we feeling like, do we have faith that the show is going to pull it off? Do we like where this direction is going? Are we wishing for a slightly different take on the story? Savon, what's been your reaction so far?
No, I've been enjoying the hell out of this. Again, like I said before, this I'm really digging Alien Earth because it's not constrained to like a 2-hour movie where you have to center things extremely much around the aliens. It's giving them room to explore, frankly, in my opinion, the more interesting parts of this universe. And so we're getting almost like a psychological thriller, philosophical drama that has a horror backdrop to it, almost on some Walking Dead type shit, where it's like the aliens and the monsters are the backdrop of the story and they play a role, but actually how all of that affects the people's interactions with each other is maybe the more interesting part. And that's really what's drawn me in. I didn't really go in with the show having a set expectation of what I wanted out of it. I knew we were going to get alien stuff, but I didn't think I would get a drama focused around like these synthetic beings and their relationships and all of that and their development. And I think that's what's really drawn me in. And they'd have to just go completely off the rails to like lose my interest at this point. So I think they're doing a lot of things right. I think it's good that I'm kind of going in with no real expectations. So I'm not going in saying, oh, I want the show to be this, or oh, I expected X, Y, Z. It's kind of giving me room to just appreciate what they're doing well and just kind of take it as is. And I really like what they've given me so far. The horror works, the character moments work. The show has enough stylization and its own identity to where it still feels not super formulaic, like the creative decision to use like those rock songs at the end of episodes and someone just like there's just creative moments. It's like cool. Someone just has a style of preference they like and they just let it show in the show. So I don't know. I'm enjoying a lot. I'm all in. I just want to see what happens with these synths, to be honest. Like, this is such a ridiculous concept to introduce and to do it with children and lean into the whole children have infinite imagination. And even that one synth who was talking to Boy Cavalier, like,
She's gonna be better than him.
Yeah, and like, but then still having that childlike naiveness to naivety. How you say the word? Help me.
Naivete.
Naivete.
Knifeness.
Yeah, having that childlike naivety. Yeah, damn it. Words.
Fine.
Yes, having that childlike nature. But yeah, man, I'm all in. I really like this show, and I'm really excited to like see what they do from here. But it's a really good addition to the Alien franchise.
Let me go next because then Brian can respond because I don't think he's gonna like my take.
Boo Wes, boo.
Boo this man.
If you would have asked me after episode 2 when I sent you guys that message, I don't think I would have kept watching past this episode unless you guys said you wanted to wrap it up and watch the whole series. I wasn't really bought in, and I think one of the things I'm struggling with a little bit is each episode and the overall series as a whole right now, we don't necessarily have clear, like, these folks are at conflict with each other in sort of like, oh, these are going to be like the main conflicts, here's going to be like the separate conflicts. We have like a lot of things that could become conflicts and a lot of things that like maybe wouldn't be dealt with until later, and it hasn't been clear to me what sort of where the main things are going to be. And so it's a little bit frustrating, I think, that we're halfway through and we still don't know like where are we going with this, like who's actually on who's, maybe not whose side, but who's actually like starting to come to a head against each other. It's all really just, like these people are like sort of not on the same side. These, obviously the corporations are not on the same side, but they're not actually engaged in active like conflict with each other most of the series so far. And so there's a lot of, it feels like there's a lot of like things happening, but not necessarily building up towards a particular direction yet. And I feel like by halfway through, I would like to know, I've invested 4 hours in the series. I would like to know a little bit more about like the plot part of it rather than just the characters. And even some of the characters are still a little bit underdeveloped, which that makes sense. It's only been 4 episodes. So that's sort of where I'm at. I'm a little bit confused about like where the story wants to go and how much we're going to get in this first season. And I think I would like a little bit more certainty. And I think maybe I came in with expectations too around like to Savon's point around, I thought this would be more action filled, like, or that the action would be the point. And now that there's like doing a lot with like synth, cyborgs, humanity, blah, blah, and corporations, to me, that stuff, if they wanted that to be the center of it, they're maybe spending too much time on the aliens, but like I came for the aliens. And so in some ways it feels like we're not spending enough time on the aliens. We're spending a lot more time with the synths. And so, but by episode 3 and 4, I think it's maybe more clear that like the synths and the child synths, especially, or the kid synth especially, are going to be maybe more of a central piece. I'm more bought into, okay, I want to see where they go. And like you said, we're starting to see them start to have these different things going on. Like, where does that take us? And if that's true, which like totally cool, like I'm on board with that. The xenomorph part of it is like the xenomorphs don't tie into their origin story or to their like existence, because like you said, they were just sort of accidentally in this situation. So I don't know, that part of it, I feel like I don't know what I want different, but it felt like there's a little bit of two things molding together here that aren't fitting together for me yet, but maybe that'll be resolved in the second half of the series. We'll see. Brian, where are you at?
Wes, I don't know how you watch TV shows at all.
I told you would not like my take, but that's where I'm at.
But you say this for all the shows we watch, Wes. You say
Strange
this all the
criticism.
time.
Where's this going? How did you even make it through the first season of Game of Thrones? Like, I have no idea. Like, there are all these characters, and there's this thing in the above the wall, and then there's King's Landing. How are these things?
But that was clear in that there was like
there is no clarity.
The families were like feuding.
There are corporations obviously feuding. Like, everything in Alien Earth is a conflict right now.
Yeah,
I don't know how that is like,
but that's like too much
part of your purview.
No, it is.
Like,
it's
a
much
TV show. There's going to be multiple conflicts.
Yeah.
Like you can't have a TV show.
But each episode
last its season without multiple conflicts.
Yeah.
And
but don't you think?
Like,
that
what are you talking about here?
Well, but each episode doesn't necessarily have a traditional, like, here's our rising structure, our climax, a somewhat resolved.
But you don't need to do that, though.
The overall show so far doesn't have
Why
that
do you
either.
feel like everything needs to adhere to this simplistic formula you have in your head about what?
I don't think it has to.
What constitutes a show?
I don't think it has
should
to.
be a rising climax
I would have
here.
liked it in this series.
I don't see how it's not there. Like it clearly is. Every episode there's like there's action scenes or people wanting something, other things getting in the way of what they want. Like it's constantly happening over and over. And I I don't know what to do with your criticism, Wes.
Yeah, I guess.
But I will say that for me, this show has a lot of room to go to all these interesting places that we've talked
For sure.
about.
For sure.
I was not on board with focusing on Wendy and her search for her brother. First off, and which was a very strong focal point in the first couple of episodes. I'm actually really glad that they did not draw that out as long as I thought it might. You know, part of me
Yeah,
was
that could have been a
wondering
whole season thing,
whether the
bro.
whole season was just them exploring the shipwreck, right? And I'm really happy actually that they concluded that pretty immediately, that Wendy and her brother meet pretty quickly, and they establish like, oh, the brother understands that it's actually his sister, not just this like random synth. That they didn't draw that out, so like we have that gotten out of the way. I thought that was actually kind of one of the weaker storylines,
How come?
because
It's
it's
like
just
wasn't
like
interesting.
not interesting. It
Okay.
was
There's
just like
just cooler shit in this
I don't
world.
care that she's looking for her brother. Like, who cares about that melodrama when you have all this other stuff that's happening around it that is way more earth-shattering, universe-shattering, right? Uh, the stakes are just so much bigger, and so I'm glad that the show now in episode 3, and I'm sure in episode 4, has pivoted more towards, well, what about the other synth kids, right? How are they all different? What about Kirsch as a leader of the synths and who kind of believes in maybe synth supremacy? What about the, Wayland Yutani versus Prodigy? What about that aspect? Oh, now there's Moro on the board, and he's after his own pride, but maybe he has other motivations, right? Like,
Kind of
is
a
he
wild
just a
card.
company man? Like, who knows? And so like, and then you have the dynamic between him and one of the synth kids, right? And so like, the world keeps growing bigger and bigger with every episode. And that's not even talking about the actual aliens that are on the show, which we know are going to wreak havoc with all these other characters, right? And it's not just the Xenomorph either. Like there are other things that they got. They got that thing that, was like performing flora but is actually fauna. They got the bloodsucker thing that killed the 2 rescue guys early in the first episode, and then you have the eyeball monster, right? Like all of these things are on
That thing is
the
terrifying.
board, and they're gonna continue to wreak havoc throughout the series, or the season at least. So I'm excited for all these other things. I could give a damn about Wendy and her brother. But I'm really invested in the world that they've built around Alien, which could be very simplistic, but instead we're getting something that is more complex and has a lot of pieces at play. And so it's like I agree with you, Wes. I don't really know where all of this is going. And I think that's the exciting part about
Okay.
the series.
I hope the
Yeah.
showrunners know where we're going with
Yeah,
this.
maybe that's what it is. Like, I don't need to know where it's going to be excited about something. Not knowing and that kind of looking into the unknown is what draws me in, because for me, it's not I've watched 3 episodes. Where are they going with this? To me, it's like, they watched 3 episodes. Where are they going with this?
Yeah, where?
I'm not going, like, to your point, and, and I don't think that, and to your point, Brian, like, Wes, and maybe that's just how we view stuff, but like, I mean, you kind of said it yourself. You went in expecting this to be more action oriented, and some of that might just be you disappointed yourself a little bit, because that's just like, if you were wanting this to be an action show, you were going to be disappointed from the bounce, because that's not the Alien series. That's the Predator series. So, but
could be.
I don't know.
Maybe that was just my expectations too.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't need to know what a show is immediately building up to, because sometimes makes the show have to box itself in and give you the big like, maybe there's a big reveal around the corner that we're just waiting for, and maybe that ties everything back together in a dope way. But like, if they have to wait till episode 5 or 6 to get to that, I'm cool with it as long as they do it right. But I feel like we do this every time we record, where Wes, you're upset that we're halfway through a show and they haven't answered all the questions yet, and me and
I don't
Brian
need
end
to
up
answer all
saying
the
some
questions.
variation of like, hey, I think you just gotta watch and find out because they probably have a thing planned out. You're not gonna have a. Would a show be good if by halfway through you already know what it's building up to and probably what's gonna happen? Like then we'd probably be more it's formulaic. I like having no idea where it's going, and I like this idea of these two. And again, Aliens never really been about the aliens. It's been about all the shit happening around the aliens. So like, I like the shit happening around the aliens. Like that's really what it boils down to. Prometheus was about like the origins of human life and who created humanity. The aliens were just a shitty part of that where things started going off the rails. But that movie wasn't about the aliens. You know, it was about where life came from. And for this, it's about where do you draw the lines between synthetic and artificial life, and those questions and how they're exploring it is more than enough for me to say, cool, I want to see where we go with this.
See, I would be on board with like more of that if the aliens actually weren't then part of this show at all, right? Like the aliens, especially the xenomorphs, but even the eye monster or whatever, aren't doing anything to push our understanding of that question or those questions. Right, like you could do this series, you could do a show, and I'm sure that lots of shows have been done about things like this. It's like what makes us human and all of that, and you're juxtaposing the synthetics or the cyborgs or the androids or whoever against what the context that they're in, or like against humans that they're interacting with, or the behavior of other humans. It'd be interesting too. I wonder if like, and this would make the show more unwieldy. So I get why they wouldn't necessarily do it, but like humans who are not necessarily in this particular circle, right? Like if you just saw another, like maybe a detective or somebody that's like not on the inside and doesn't have privy to like all of this information, but is watching some of this happen and is trying to get to the bottom of it, or someone who is like having their life impacted on it and loses a loved one in the ship wreck or whatever, and now is like forced to like reckon with like what's happening here. And I don't know, there could be other ways you could do that, right? Like around who's human and not in these interactions. But
well, that kind of feels like the brother story, huh? Because the brother story kind of feels like that's the POV of someone who's not plugged into all this corporate madness and all the secret R&D stuff, and like because a bunch
sort of, but he was employed by them. He's part of their military outfit as like a medic or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, Prodigy's separate from the people who actually, because remember, Wayland, it's the Wayland people. Prodigy doesn't know anything about this alien stuff. They've never done any extraterrestrial alien shit at all. That's the whole point. Like what I found interesting is that this is, I think the whole plot line of the show is one corp is doing all this alien bio research stuff, and then it lands somewhere that has nothing to do with that. Like I think that's, for me, that's one of the cooler draws, because everybody, including even the super in the know techie people, are like, yo, what the hell is this? Even the smartest people in the room are like, I don't know, man. I'm at a complete loss.
They don't show enough fear though. That whole team at Prodigy is like not fearful enough of these things. They're just like,
they don't know what they've gotten themselves into.
Oh, they know it's deadly. They've seen it work. They know it's deadly. They should have a little more fear. That's what I think.
But at the moment Curse told him that, it was like, okay, cool, lock it down. No one in or out unless they're a 10. So like, I do think that's actually one of the rare moments of him actually taking the security shit. Like security dude said, was like, hey, great. Nobody who's not a sense. He's like, all right, bet. Like, that's,
also,
for me, I was
that
like,
gives his power. That gives his character power, and he knows it.
Yeah, it's like,
you're saying Kirsch knows it.
Yeah, Kirsch knows it.
Yeah.
To me,
he got to put the boy genius in his place.
Yeah, and he was right. And he pushes back. Like, even one thing, as much as egomaniacal as Boy Genius is, Boy Cavalier, like, he's pretty. Kirsch is pretty like empowered to push back multiple times. There's several times where he kind of just straight up says, "Hey, respectfully, you wrong," or like, "Hey, respectfully, you don't know what the f you talking about." Like, and it's not like it's this weird, "Oh, listen to me or I'm gonna shut you down" type deal. It's an interesting. Like, that's one of those things, Wes, of like, I like that dynamic, and I want to see how that dynamic plays out into what the larger plot of this happens. But I don't know, man. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I guess, like, I would just rather the show be about that stuff than about, like, the aliens don't even need to be in it for me. right? Like you could do all that stuff without the aliens, but I want like if I want an
They're
alien
so
show,
cool.
Wes just wants to watch
then I want
Earth.
the show about the aliens.
They're
Like give me
so
the show about the
cool.
aliens and like how they're wreaking havoc like all over the place. You know, like I don't know. It feels like it wants to be two shows and they're trying to put them together. And I feel like actually they would just be better as separate shows in some ways. That's sort of where I'm at. But
Like one, the thriller show where you're just like fighting the aliens.
Yeah.
And then the other show,
is the suspense
what is life? What is
well, and the
But-
suspense of it,
what
right?
makes
Of like,
machines?
But aliens
oh
always
shit,
been
like these
both,
people are
though.
dastardly, and and
Yeah, but aliens
well,
always
and
been that intersection of
but
like
that
those
doesn't
two things,
mean-
though.
that doesn't mean that they're so far to me have been successful at melding those two together. But like I said, maybe in the last 4 episodes we get a little bit more of that, and it becomes more clear like how these two things are actually like working together as a story, not as like a plot, but like as a story. And anyways, so yeah, I think people should check it out as long as they're not too grossed out by crazy, like by the violence and the like by things being mangled, by living
don't-
beings being mangled. Like
Yeah,
you
don't watch
can't
it.
eat food watching this show.
if you
I-
get
I could
nightmares,
not eat my dinner.
this may not be for you.
I was absolutely eating a bowl of chili while they were dissecting one of the xenomorphs. Like I was 100%. Like
You're like,
last night, I had like a bowl of chili with like a spoon and some crackers going to work, and that was the scene when they were actively dissecting the corpse,
Ew.
and then they had the
Yuck.
green goo, and they pulled out the thing that they put into the little heart tube. I was absolutely eating that entire.
I think it was
time.
lungs. I think it was
Yeah,
lungs.
Yeah, I
Feel
think
like
that's
there's
the
some lung-
brother's
some
lung.
lung.
Yeah.
Oh, good eye.
I think
Which
it's
Which
lungs.
is crazy,
Crazy.
that they did that.
So you have to have
Crazy.
lungs apparently
I
for
mean,
the xenomorphs.
they're just testing how it probably reacts to human tissue. But yeah, I was eating and I thought eating was like, yeah, I guess some people probably wouldn't want to eat while watching the show.
No,
Huh.
Yuck.
you could have a xenomorph in there. Ugh. All
I
right.
was like,
I think that's how we know Savon's a synth. Confirmed.
synths don't eat.
Is that how you incorporate so much information from your HUD while you're playing? So you've got multiple processors happening,
No,
multi-lane
first of all, I'm not-
processing.
First of
I
all,
only
I'm
have
not a
single
synth.
thread processing.
Oh yeah, Wes, I'm gonna leave you alone.
Actually, Savon's a replicant. He's from the Blade Runner universe.
Okay.
Different corporation.
That's the thing, huh? That's the thing they do. The check.
Yeah.
What
You
What
gotta
do they
do
have
the.
to check for?
You got to do the test.
Okay.
There's like a dot on your eye for every time you've been like cloned or something.
Replicated?
So
Okay.
characters will check to see, kind of like your little "Am I real?" test.
Oh, okay. All right, friends. Well, that'll do it for us. Are you recommending it for? It sounds like both of you recommend it for most people. Fans of the show would be into this.
I think it'd be hard for people if they're really, really squeamish.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're squeamish, this isn't for you because straight up, like, because some people, if you like the gore is one thing, and some people aren't bothered by blood and gore, but like, nah, this is also like just straight up actual body horror, alien blood and guts and all that weird stuff. I feel like both can be nasty in different ways. This show has both. This has alien dissection scenes and alien goo blood shit and all that, and also just regular human folks getting eviscerated and torn up.
I'm on record as saying that like I get nightmares from stuff. This has not been something where I'm worried about
You
nightmares
have
though.
dreams?
This one
He said
this one,
nightmares.
This one does not give me, and I'm not worried about it giving me nightmares. Now, if I get nightmares, then I will tell you and be like, yeah, don't watch the show. But so far, I've been able to watch it without
no
fear
jump
of
scares,
any
right? No
nightmares.
jump
Yeah,
scares.
no jump
Yeah, no.
scares. It's not like that like silence and then just like like
It's
it
not
grabs
just
you.
cheap. It's not cheap scares where like, all right, we gotta make something pop out to keep. Like again, I say it as someone who does not like horror at all, who hates like jump scare type stuff. It's suspenseful. It's not just outright, oh my god, I'm gonna throw my popcorn in the air.
Yeah.
So if you're not, so for the folks who don't like horror, I think that so it's more suspense than outright horror. Although there are some moments that are meant to freak you out. To your Wes's point, the biggest thing is just if you don't like gore and alien guts type stuff visually, this is definitely not for you. If you don't like horror, I think you can still watch it. If you like sci-fi, philosophical type stuff, you should definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Like,
this
If
is
you're not-
all.
but
This
I
is for
guess
the
if you're not
hard
into
sci-fi
that-
people.
If you're not into like that philosophical stuff, this also, or like like the show about that, you also maybe wouldn't like this, right? Like if you're kind of like how I thought in the beginning, where it's going to be a lot of like just them fighting the aliens, you're not going to get that either.
Yeah,
Right.
I
There's
think
no
it's
like
just
plan here to fight. There's no like mobilization unit, that's got to
no.
take down the aliens or research them and figure out what's their weakness. Like none of that is happening.
Yeah, pretty much every alien movie is predicated on the people not knowing what they're dealing with. Like that is like a
But they're not even trying to
definitive.
figure it out. I mean, they're not trying to figure it out as a way to like beat them. They're just trying to figure it out as a way to use them.
Oh, there's
They're like,
nothing to
Yeah,
beat.
they're trying to profit off
yeah,
of it.
how
yeah,
can this
that-
be useful?
I
So
mean, yeah,
like,
it's nothing to beat. Not like they're being invaded.
yeah, I don't. But like, aren't they? Like, I feel like they should be worried that they
They
are.
don't
being invaded.
acknowledge that just yet.
Yeah, and like that's also weird that like nobody is here thinking about like what could happen if they start getting out. Like,
That's
You think-
corporate greed.
Yeah, right. You think, oh, what? You think rich corporate people who have lost the game wouldn't?
I guess
be
Kirsch said
or
that,
just
right?
would be
Kirsch
not
said these
concerned.
guys cannot get out.
He's the one who said the quiet part out loud of like, I'm doing what I can to stop an alien invasion. So to be clear, that's to make sure to the viewer, hey, just to let y'all know, people are thinking about this, but leadership is making an active choice to ignore it. Like that's one of those people at home. Well, why are they not taking it seriously? People are. The higher ups aren't. There's your answer. So now when
Okay.
everything goes
All
ass
right.
up, you can say, why did they let it happen? That's why. Because there was
Okay.
money. Because
That's kinda true. It
shareholder
does feel like
shareholder profit.
Some
Damn it.
people are taking this like way differently than how it'd be in real life. All right, friends.
This is exactly how it'd be in real
No,
life.
no, no. But in terms of like everybody we've seen on screen, like really nobody is like, this is bad, guys. Like no one's like that. No one so
They're
far
like,
has said
this is great, guys.
Yeah,
we're
everyone's
gonna
like-
make $1 billion.
yeah.
well, one
so,
dude was gonna push
trillion.
back, right?
That's
One dude was
weird.
gonna push back and was like, you know what, man, you run a corporation, just your shit, you can run it. And dude was like, grow a spine. Like, man, I like having a job. Like,
Gotta eat.
basically,
We gotta
Homer said,
eat.
basically,
Can't-
Homer was just like, you being a real ass clown, right, Bob? But you know what? It's your ship. Do what you want, big dog. I ain't gonna, you know what? I ain't even gonna hold you.
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to get this paycheck.
Also, the most realistic part of the show, your boss is just an absolute clown, or they don't know what they're doing, and then you want to say something, and you say, you know what, man? Ain't even that real, man.
Never mind. It
Let
ain't
me
gonna
just collect
change anything.
Let me collect my check and go to F home. Ain't even that real. That's the best. I was like, oh, this show's real.
Collect the check, get paid. Hey, we just got paid yesterday too. All right, friends. We're out here. Aliens, Earth. I don't know what's coming next. Probably Peacemaker, because they're gonna have a couple episodes out by the time we record next. So that'll probably be on our plate next. Do you guys know what else is coming up?
Also, Wes, I think it's singular alien Earth.
Alien Earth. No S. You're right.
There's
Alien
only one.
colon Earth.
You've embarrassed yourself enough times this episode. Like, I'm
Fool.
just trying to help reduce it.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing it out so everyone knows how noob I am at any of this. I'm not elite. Yeah. But I said in the beginning, I'm coming from a place of a level 1 here. 1 out of 10. I have no
for a
idea.
level 1, you be going in with a lot of assumptions. You don't
That's
seem
what I
to go
thought.
in like somebody
Just
who
seen
don't know a
them in
lot about the
popular
franchise.
culture. I've only
Yeah,
seen
but
them in
that's
like
all-
pop culture stuff.
Wes be out here saying, I've never seen this movie. I don't know nothing about it. I went in expecting these very specific things.
Expected action. Aliens have alien movies have action. The fighting.
There's
There's
Alien-
action every
the-
episode.
Pew, pew,
Oh my
pew.
God.
First of all, we get action. Second, Brian, I both mentioned the alien movies outside of Aliens, it's more horror and suspense and science than
Well,
action.
now I know. You just didn't tell me that ahead of time.
Welcome
didn't
to
know
the
that.
program. This is confidently wrong, everyone.
I didn't know that. All right, friends,
Well,
we're out of
almost
here.
give us the long beep. The long bleep.
Hit us up on @confidently_pod on Instagram. We're also on YouTube. You can find us there. There's another Confidently Wrong podcast on YouTube. That's not us. That's not the real one. Come to us. We got the spaceman hanging out on the triangle logo. All right, we're out of here. We'll see you guys
Later.
later. Enjoy the apple orchard picking or whatever you're doing up there in upstate New York.
I will.
Bye.